Hello, and welcome everyone to the Nonprofit Impact Exchange. It's a series where we explore how community organizations are coming together to collaborate, innovate, and create a greater impact. And so we want to just take this opportunity to thank the Port of Long Beach for sponsoring the series, highlighting the amazing work that's happening in the community. And I am your host. I'm Michelle Byerly, the Executive Director of the Nonprofit Partnership. And today we are diving into a powerful example of the community university collaboration that benefits students, local organizations, and the broader Long Beach community. So joining me today are Dr. Juan Benitez and Michelle Chang from Cal State Long Beach, and we will be talking about the Center for Community Engagement, where Dr. Benitez is the executive director and Michelle Chang is the director of academic internships. So thank you both for being here today.
Thanks for the invitation, Michelle. We're always excited about any opportunity to talk about community engagement.
Great. And we welcome you both. And I know we've been working together in different ways to bring nonprofits in and have them working with the community and with the center. And so it's great to have you here. So I would love to just jump right in and start by hearing about the Center for Community Engagement and how it plays that central role in connecting students with the Long Beach community. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely, Michelle. So our center has been around since the late 1990s in different iterations. And in essence, we play a broad campus and community role. On the university side, we help our university to advance our vision around the public good. Around terms of community, we're sort of that link of community engagement efforts, activities, and opportunities for students, staff, and faculty to connect with the communities that we live in and that we serve. And we do that through three broad strategies, what we call high impact practice, and specifically equity anchored high impact practices. The first is through service learning opportunities that anchor specific disciplines, departments, and fields around community issues and assets. And so we have around 400 to 500 students every semester out working with and in communities. We also provide leadership and support for academic internships. And Michelle will talk more about her and her role in that capacity. But in essence, we have over 60 current live community partnerships where we have a combination of academic interns, service learning students, and students doing research through our center. The last area is around what we call community-based participatory and action research. So we work closely with community partners to identify areas that we can leverage university resources. And in our case, it's our student researchers, our faculty researchers. So those are the three broad areas that we look for in terms of partnership opportunities, in terms of community engagement activities, and in terms of practices that research shows have a high impact for student success and at the same time help to address community identified issues.
That's great. 400 to 500 students a year and then 60 partners. It's a lot to manage. And also, we're so grateful for that impact. I mean, I even interviewed someone the other day that was using their experience as an intern as part of it was on their resume, which is amazing. And it also gives them experience in what's happening here in the community that could help us with our mission. So thank you for all of that work. And I would love to jump in and hear more about the community internship program. So how does that fit into you just shared how it fits into your broader mission. So I'd love to hear a little more about how that works and what makes it unique compared to other internship opportunities.
Michelle. So our Long Beach Community Internship Program is one of the key programs in the Academic Internships Office and the Center for Community Engagement. And so it really started back in 2021, co-founded that program with Dr. Minky and Dr. Amy Rasmussen here on campus and our community partner, Jeff Williams. Right, so it was really important, similar to what Juan has mentioned, that we include the community in the part of the development and creation of this program so that we understand community needs and that we're addressing those needs. And what LBCIP does is really it helps support our most vulnerable students and to help close that equity gap and increase engagement for students in these high impact campuses. So a unique component is that our focus is really on our local Long Beach students. So these are students who graduated from an LBUSD high school or went to LBCC and transferred here to Cal State Long Beach. And we serve students across all different majors and programs. So I believe, out of our 7 academic colleges, at least 5 of those colleges, we serve students in the arts, sociology, health science, computer science, marketing, all of that. And we really take into the account, as Juan mentioned, using an equity anchored approach. So we look at using a strength-based approach to develop this program, and we focus on the strengths that our students bring. Right. So what are those cultural capital, their lived experiences that they bring into the internship, and how that can help our community partners? So for example, like language skills is a big one, like that bilingual skill set. Our students may use it every day and may not think of it as a special skill set, but it's so important to be able to communicate with different communities. And so students, we help students to identify that skill, think about how to articulate it, and then use it while they're with their community partners. We also use a really unique matching process. So we make sure that students and organizations all have a voice in this program. So students will get to interview with multiple partners. Partners can also interview multiple interns and students, and then they provide feedback. And our goal is to find that one-to-one match, right? Where the student and the organization are both really excited about working together. And that helps make sure, a good match, but also that students are invested, organizations are invested, and that they successfully complete the program.
Mhm.
And
That's
we
great.
call them academic internships
Mhm.
because all the students are also enrolled in a course.
Right.
So that's a really important part of the high impact piece. So making sure that students are receiving wraparound support, that they're doing reflections or engaging in conversations or problem solving together. And then the last component of it is that all of our students are paid. Right? They all receive a $2,000 scholarship to participate, and that really helps alleviate any of that financial burden. It takes away and increases students' ability to participate in these programs.
Yeah, I think that's so important too, because you're really helping to level that playing field for students that might not otherwise have the financial means to take that on, that unpaid work. And also offering that professional development of interviewing and selecting something that is aligned with your values, which is something that we definitely want to build up, especially for our future nonprofit sector workers and community. So thank you for that. And how I know you talked about those paid internships, and I think this is wrapped into the next question too, but how has that helped? And do you have any stories of how that's helped level that playing field for students, and also tied into, reflecting the values of providing that impact with community members and social justice and inclusion, diversity and equity of the center?
Definitely. I've also had the pleasure or been able to co-author a book with Dr. Mankey and Dr. Bonagager here on campus about internships, and specifically looking at some of the challenges that come with our traditional internship, the way that it's set up at universities and programs, right? And one of the things that we looked at is, why don't students participate in unpaid internships? And so we looked at a lot of different studies. One that I'll mention is Matthew Ora from it's a University of Wisconsin-Madison. So he did a study. He asked students, why do you not participate in unpaid internships? And most of them, 63% said it's because they couldn't give up a paying job, right? 26% talk about lack of transportation, 16% talk about lack of childcare. And so we have to really remember that our student interns are like people first, right? They have lives and families and other obligations. And so we really want to make sure that the programs that we're setting up, the ways that we're doing things are really meeting student needs, and that we're kind of centering them as a person first. Students who typically don't participate are our first generation college students who are Pell eligible, students of color. And so we wanted to make sure that providing that financial assistance to our students would help open those doors and open those opportunities for those students who traditionally don't participate. So since 2021, we've had 178 students participate in LBCIP. And it's been, we get feedback from students about how impactful that experience has been. A number of our students, I want to say 40 to 45% or so, also go on to full-time or part-time employment in the community, either with the partners that they interned with or through networking. And that, that creates like a great pipeline of talent, and really increases students' engagement and wanting to continue to pursue like civic engagement working in the nonprofit sector. And as happy as we are that we are able to support these 178 students, we're always looking for opportunities to kind of scale this program. The challenge really has been this program is fully funded through like donations, right? So we have individual donors, foundation donors, and they, from F&M Bank, the Broughton Community Service Endowment, the Port of Long Beach, a lot of different organizations had helped be able to provide the scholarship to our students.
Great. So thank you for adding that in. If someone's listening who can help to fund these programs or continue this on, that is something always that we're looking for in community programs. And so it's good to know also that there's a way to get involved for not just nonprofits, but for funders or corporations that want to sponsor this program and really to support students. So thank you for sharing that. And so I know the Center for Community Engagement has, reflects these partnerships and these values in a lot of your program areas, and you have convenings of nonprofit organizations and you're connected in that way. How else do you find ways to impact students? And can you talk a little bit more about things that are happening at the center?
Sure. So just building on what Michelle Chang shared, Michelle. So all of our work starts and ends with equity, right? A commitment to upholding equity. And we have a values-based approach too. Michelle mentioned the asset approach that we use. So I think the first thing for us at the university to help to recognize is that the university is not the only place of enlightenment, that our communities bring a wealth of knowledge, have a broad range of talents, gifts, and with that comes the value of reciprocity, right? That this, yes, starts with student success. That's why we call these high impact practices. They all have what Michelle's describing, whether it be paid academic internships, undergraduate research, service learning, all have a direct correlation to our student success indicators, whether it be graduation rates, time to degree, pursuit of graduate school, things that we consider success indicators on our end. But they also have impact with the organizations, our community partners, that we are very deliberate in that approach. So I thank the opportunity to talk a little bit more about really, we could not do this work here at the university if it were not for the great community partnerships that we've worked very hard and been very intentional to develop. Again, around the values that our executive directors, our program coordinators, our volunteer managers bring, right? That students learn just as much, if not more, being in real world contexts, addressing real world issues, but also knowing that our university is not here to solve the world's problems, right? That we have experts in the field addressing issues and challenges. And so the impact really is also around helping to advance community partners' missions and visions, right? So the knowledge and the skill sets and the theories that students bring with them to our community partners are also through that equity lens, right? The recognition that our community partners, whether it be the nonprofit partnership, right? Whether it be large community partners like the Aquarium of the Pacific, whether it be our social justice community partners like Long Beach Forward and AOC 7, that these all are providing essential opportunities for students to succeed and fulfill our university mission, but at the same time, for our community partners to thrive and for the populations that our community partners are serving to benefit from that impact. So it's a win-win, Michelle, in a nutshell. The challenge here, as Michelle alluded to, is we're not a temporary placement agency. So we want to make sure that through this curation of partnerships,
Mhm.
right, that we're able to provide a high impact opportunity for students. But at the same time, we want our community partners to take advantage in the best sense of the word of the word of those skill sets, knowledge, experiences that our students bring with them. All right, they're not empty vessels. All
Mhm.
right, and the recognition is that our students and our community partners are able to work collaboratively. I mentioned the 60 partnerships, active partnerships that we have every day. Right. So we love the opportunity to highlight this work because oftentimes folks think of the university as a place of learning. Well, that place of learning is only made possible through these very intentional and deliberate partnership opportunities that we provide students. There would be no high impact practice if there wasn't a community organization, community members willing to be our allies in that journey.
That's great. Thank you. And we have amazing organizations. And I think I love that you also said, these students are community members. And so even learning how community is involved in decision making, and I know those intentional partners that you're working with, make sure that community voices are centered in the work that they're doing. And so learning how to do that from both, I know you talked about the research perspective and the on the ground perspective and experience as internship is so important as we try to move forward, in the nonprofit sector in a way that helps to not, prescribe something to community, but involve community in the impact and the changes. So I think that's great. And thank you for all of the work that you do in that way. I know I asked for a story earlier, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about how this has impacted initiatives, or or even how a nonprofit has utilized these interns, or and maybe other things that you're doing as far as research within the center, and how that's impacted the Long Beach community.
I'm sorry, Michelle. That was the thing I was thinking in the back of my mind. I didn't answer it. So I know Michelle has a lot of stories about students. So maybe we start with some student testimonials.
Yeah, I can definitely share. I mean, we survey our students and they talk about the impact of their internship experience in terms of like developing a better understanding of their community, applying their coursework, like personally too, like building self-confidence, developing a sense of purpose, and really helping to clarify that career trajectory for them. Like I mentioned, about 40% or so go back and continue to begin careers in the nonprofit. So for the student, there is definitely a really strong impact. And then they make big changes with the organizations and in the communities that they work with, right? So I can think of one of our interns, Arrows. He was also a speaker at our internship jamboree this past year. He was interning with Heart of Ida, and he brings in a special skill set of being able to speak Tagalog. And that's a population that the organization had always had a really hard time figuring out how do we serve, right? So he was able to, record some messages, do some translation work, and his supervisor said, they made it possible to reach out to our Tagalog speaking participants, something we had only dreamed of. Right. So students were able to actually make those initiatives happen for organizations. Our students also played impact in terms of helping organizations maybe reflect and think about who they are, how they serve, and creating more inclusive environments. So we had another intern, Josiah, who was out at the aquarium of the Pacific. And I'll read some of the quotes that our supervisor provided in a feedback. I think it's really powerful because interns can really help lead change in an organization. So their supervisor said their efforts and the challenge they've overcome have changed our internship and approach to the program. So we can make it more equitable and meaningful opportunity. We're so grateful for the change that they have sparked through their service. Right. So it's really also helping organizations think about their own models and how to be more inclusive. So I'll just share those two. There's many more, but I'll share those two stories of how students have been able to make an impact to the organizations and their communities.
That's great. And I think that is, the change to the organizations themselves and the practices, these systems and structures that exist in the large organizations. And then on the other side, smaller organizations that may not have thought about bringing interns in yet and can realize that impact of having a paid internship in their organization. And they're doing a lot of things. They're helping to have a greater impact. They're, helping to develop the future leaders in the sector, and also just giving that real world experience. So it's good in a lot of different ways for the community. So thank you for all of that. So looking ahead, what are some of the future goals for the Center for Community Engagement? And then I know you've shared that you have these great nonprofit partners. How do more organizations get involved in more of these opportunities?
So that's part of our challenge, Michelle, and that's why we appreciate this opportunity. Um, our university is very idiosyncratic in the way that we operate in the world. The rest of the world does not operate on a 16-week semester, on an academic year calendar, right? And so while there's the will and the good intention to partner with communities, we're not an easy place to navigate either. There isn't like a one place, one size fits all model. Oftentimes, community partners don't know what they don't know about our university. We also have the challenge at the university and where we may have faculty that are interested in utilizing one of their courses around a community project, but don't know the ins and outs of, what do we need on the university side? Well, we need things like student field placement agreements. We need MOUs. Right. We were talking earlier off camera about the difficulty of working with some of our larger partners with like the school district or Long Beach City College. Well, our place is not that easy to work with. So I kind of wanted to start with that acknowledgement when we convene community partners. That's one of the things that they stress, right? That we're not an easy place to work with. So that's where I think our center plays a pivotal role, not just in matching, the literal matching, but helping to navigate, right, an institution that, quite frankly, was not designed to be nimble and to be proactive in these things. So we have a small but fantastic staff here that does a lot of curation of partnerships. Again, centering community voice, centering student voices. And Michelle, maybe before we finish today's call, can talk about some examples of what's right around the corner. We have a MLK Day of Service project as part of our 75th anniversary here on campus. But we also have everyday opportunities. And I think part of this challenge that I talked about is for community partners to kind of take an internal look and think about, well, what would I do with 5 students? Our service learning students do about 20, 25 hours a semester. Our internships are 90, 100 hours a semester, but our College Core program is 450 hours
Wow.
across the academic year. So some things are scalable, some things, quite frankly, are not. Some community partners may need help or support with a literacy fair on a Saturday, right? Setup, breakdown, volunteers. Others may need help with a marketing plan. Some of our partners are doing wonderful conservation biology work that takes a specific skill set, right? Our conservation biology students. Others may not think of a political science student to help with their event planning, but those may be perfect service learning students, right? Imagine an entire class of 50, let's say political science students that are eager to build their civic engagement skills, right? And so you wouldn't necessarily think of an event for that, but everything that goes into civic engagement, the problem solving, the collaboration, the teamwork, all of those things lend themselves to organizations that may think, what would I do with a poli-sci student or a communication student or a marketing student for that matter? So we're here for that. We invite community members, community partners to reach out to us. We're happy to share our information with you before we close
Great.
our conversation today. But it's getting around that, okay, what would I do with students? Who do I contact at the university? And then from our end, not letting our community partners carry the burden for what students will be doing, and not just students, staff and faculty. So again, there's some things there that we need to do to remove some of the structural barriers, but the will, the intention is all there for us to leverage. Our biggest asset here is our students, right? And we hear nothing but positive things from our community partners. We also hear positive things from our students. So how do we scale that? So that, for example, Michelle, how about requiring for every single graduate of Cal State Long Beach to participate in at least one of these high impact practices, right? Service learning, undergraduate research, academic internship. Imagine having 35,000 individuals out working in and with community in addressing societal issues and problems.
That's amazing. And that I think is what makes It's so unique, and we're so lucky to have this program in Long Beach and the Center for Community Engagement that, Long Beach is a big city, but also such a community. And you don't see a lot of this impact in other communities and collaboration with the colleges and the different, from everywhere, from the school district to our community colleges and to Long Beach State, and having these pathways for students. And it would be amazing to put that to use and have that, those students really making an impact. And I know you already are, but to even increase that would be amazing. And so you can share now how we can get in touch with you. I'm sure someone can put that in the chat also, and then we'll include that when we share this interview in the future. Was there anything you wanted to add, Michelle, to that?
Yeah, I mean, Juan alluded to this, and so one of the things that we're trying to do to kind of increase engagement across campus is partnering with some nonprofits around MLK and Day of Service, right? So really kind of bringing our campus to the community, supporting a project or a program that's happening that day. So we've had conversations with Leadership Long Beach and looking at ways to increase that engagement, not just for the students who participate in service learning and internships, but our whole campus community, including our faculty and our staff too. So we're excited about that, and more information about that to come as well.
That's exciting. And I know they've had, when you said MLK Day of Service, I was wondering if that was with Leadership Long Beach. So I love that collaboration. And I know I've seen both of you out in the community. So also taking the university into the community isn't something you see in a lot of places. So I think that is so critical and important to the way you've been able to connect.
Say that again, Michelle. Maybe this could serve as a call to action for more of our campus members to be involved in the community, right?
Get out there. We want you here, and we are welcoming you. And as a nonprofit executive director, we have a lot of opportunities outside of internships to be involved, to be on boards, to do service, to, use your expertise. And so there's so many ways. And the nonprofit partnership is also happy to come in to talk to students about the sector and about I know we partner and we do a workshop on Nonprofit 101 for your interns. We also do that with Long Beach City College, and sometimes individually with nonprofits who have their own internship programs that they're moving through. And so any way that we can help support that development, we're also happy to do that and make it easier even on the professors that are working things into their syllabus in there. So get out and get in the community. I will say, I'll just give a shout out to the math and science department. There was a data science project last year where the students did projects similar to what you're the way that the internships work with nonprofit organizations. And it was using that data, it was machine learning, and they were using machine learning to help with nonprofit impact. And it was such an incredible program. And I know they recently got funded to do more of that work. So it was.
Can I add one more thing to that?
Sure.
So in the works, our campus just got approved for a new bachelor's degree in applied data science.
Oh,
and this new program, and I hope I'm not misspeaking here, but I think it's the first of its kind in the country.
Wow.
Has service learning and community engagement as a requirement of the program. So we're actively right now, currently, as of last week, developing 2 courses in applied data science. Great. That will be partnering with local nonprofits around a safe passage program to and from school. Right. Amazing. So big shout out to Days Long Beach, Long Beach Forward, because this is the first of its kind, right? So every single student that takes classes in this program, and it's a degree, right? Applied data science, will be working on community projects around safe passages, safety in the community, and with a focus again on students and children. So just again, an additional plug here for, who would have thought 10, 15 years ago that applied data science would lead to service learning, experiential learning opportunities. So we're excited about those. So again, if you have a thought, an idea out there as a community partner, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. I'll do the plug here since you asked, Michelle.
Yes.
www.csulb.edu/CCE, or you could just do a quick Center for Community Engagement search at Cal State Long Beach. All of our social media handles, all of our contact information is on there, including mine and Michelle's email. So don't hesitate to reach out. Even if you're still in the conceptual, what would I do? Or who could I partner with? We're here to help. And then invite us out to any community events, activities that you have. We'd love to get more of our campus members out. to again leverage the opportunities we have here as allies
Mhm.
in our student success efforts.
That's great. And I love that. Thank you for sharing your website. And if you found us here and you need to just put in the chat that you're looking for that, we're happy to connect you. But thank you so much for all of the work you both do and for that connection. And I, I heard that part. You just said it out loud. So I'll say it again. That's what I heard in this whole interview is if you have an idea, if there's a nonprofit or another community member who has an idea of how we can make this connection and make things more impactful in Long Beach or the surrounding cities, then reach out and brainstorm and think about the possibilities, because I love that you shared also different things interns can do within organizations. It doesn't just have to look like one specific thing. Maybe it is about, operations. We need more accountants in the nonprofit space. What's the math department doing? There's different ways we can get real experience for students and then also impact into community. So thank you for sharing all of that. And thank you both for being here today and sharing how you're impacting communities with us and with the broader community. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank you. Have a good day.